This being 7 o'clock, I'd like to call the November 18th meeting of the Capital Planning Committee to order. I'd like to welcome everyone. Since this committee meets seasonally, what I'd like to do is, just for the folks that may be watching this later, I'd like to just run through the names, introduce the members. I'd also like to welcome a new member to the committee this year, David Gosselin from the Finance Committee. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
And we have two citizen members with us tonight, Chris LaValle and Mike Curran is unable to be with us this evening, but Mike is a citizen member. Also, we have Jeff Doherty, a school committee member. And we have Darlene Lucy, our town accountant. And do I see Jill Kenny is representing the library trustees?
I just texted her and she said she's about to be on.
Okay, Jill will be joining us. And for those that are watching or may have never watched a capital planning committee meeting before, our role under the town charter and bylaws is to study capital projects and then assist and advise our town manager in formulating the town's annual capital budget. So that's our role kind of in a nutshell. What we'll do is we'll move into the, we have a number of hearings and number of department heads and some staff will be making presentations tonight. And should have all the committee members should have received 5 attachments from me in the email that I sent. One of the things that'll be really helpful is there's a handout that has all of the project detail sheets and they're all numbered. So when different department heads come forward, I'll mention the sheet number just so you can make sure that you're following along on the right page and for each project. So our first hearing tonight was to start off with Municipal Technology. And with us this evening is our Information Technology Director, Ted Luter. Welcome, Ted.
Hello.
Ted has 2 projects. They are numbered 1 and 2 this evening. So Ted, if you'd like to explain the 2 projects that.
Sure. So the first project is a replacement of our edge switches on the network. Those switches are in each building. They connect from our firewall and our central location, all of the buildings to the network. We have quite a few switches that all of the switches will become end of life, manufacturer end of life at the end of this fiscal year. We have quite a few of these switches. We planned to kind of go beyond end of life with those switches, but with the uptick in a lot of cybersecurity issues happening around the country and around the state, we think that it's better to upgrade those switches before end of life because we won't be able to add any more software onto it. We won't be able to upgrade those switches. There are no more firmware upgrades. So that's what that project is for. And when I'm asking for $130,000 to do that, it's about like 42 switches we're talking about. The second project is a continuation of the doors project. Sorry. My phone was just talking to me. Sorry about that. The door project, we have just completed in the last month or so, completed the doors at the police department. That was an upgrade from their system that they put in when the building was made, I believe. So we want to continue that to the fire stations, the substations, North Town Hall, the regular town hall, the CCA, and the sub fire stations. We also have as the engine 2 is up in the north, we're actually doing that project right now. Those are the projects in a nutshell. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm turning off the Bluetooth on my phone because it keeps talking to me. Here we go.
If anyone has any questions for Ted, you're welcome to.
Ted, I just have one question. The network switches, you said you're replacing about 42-ish.
Correct.
Are those all of the ones that are going end of life, or do you have more end of life that need to be replaced?
Those are all of them that are end of life.
Okay.
Basically, beyond beyond the edge switches, we only have our core switches and our firewalls. So,
Okay.
yep,
Ted, whose switches are you?
they're all
Taking
towns. They're all town switches. So there's switches that are in each building that connect back to. Without those switches, those buildings are not on the network.
Well, who's the manufacturer?
Those are Interasys switches. The manufacturer's Interasys. Interasys was bought out by Extreme Networks. So you could call them Extreme switches, but they are Interasys switches.
And they're all the same?
They are all, they're not all the same. They're all the same manufacturer, but they're not all the same switches.
Right.
Yes. They're mostly, 24 and 48 port switches, 12 port switches. There are a few that have higher throughput than other switches. And that's really the only differences between the switches at these buildings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if anyone has any more questions, if not, we thank you, Ted, for the explanation.
Yep.
Right, and then moving on the agenda, we're going to be skipping over the town clerk's project. Tricia informed me she would be unable to attend tonight, so we'll hear about Tricia's project on the next meeting on December 2nd. That brings us to the public libraries. With us tonight is our director, Becky Herman. Also see Mike Harridan, and the library trustees are with us. So welcome, Becky. Becky's project, the library's project, is number 4.
I also just wanted to introduce Maria Palacio. She's my assistant director, and so she wanted to see what the whole process of capital planning was like. So she's here as a guest. I'm going to let Mike Harridan, who's my facilities and technology director, he's going to take you through the project.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. We just have one request this year, and that is a generic masonry request. Primarily, we have 3 main projects that need attention and some miscellaneous repairs. The first project of consequence is the north chimney in the old Adams building. The chimney is leaning. We became aware of it a couple of years ago. It's not an imminent danger of falling, but we want to be proactive and get it straightened out and repointed and all that good stuff. In addition, the cap has become damaged. You can see in the picture in the detail sheet there, and we need to replace that. We did some work on the other chimney a couple of years ago, and that was very beneficial. We actually had a tree growing out of the top of it, so we don't want animals and pests and vegetation to start growing out of this chimney as well at any point. The second major part of this project is we're looking to redesign and rebuild the front steps of the main entrance. Over the years, since that building was opened in 2001, we've had to repair it many, many times, both professionally and with our own crew, spending thousands of dollars over the course of time. If you look at it now from a distance, it doesn't look terrible. We just recently patched it ourselves, but if you get up close, you can see where the paint is bubbling. You can see where the water damage has broken down the concrete. We believe there was some kind of design flaw with the treads. In addition, the stairs were put in November during a cold spell, and we are very concerned that the best practices weren't followed when they were originally installed. There's the stairs there. And the final major issue is we want to rebuild and redo the stairs that lead up to the McKay building in North Chelmsford. They're old, they're cracking. We've had to repair some frost heave damage that looked like a tripping hazard. And if you look at the front, the platform that is the main stage or walking area around the outside of the steps is damaged with rust from the rebar that's within the concrete. So those are the three main areas that we want to repair and keep up. And given there's also some miscellaneous repairs that we'd like to have done as well.
And if I can just add in, I mean, we reached out to probably 7 to 10 masons to get quotes. We ended up with 3 or 4 that we were basing our numbers on. Obviously when we go out to bid, we'll get the real numbers, but the 3 that we got for quotes were consistent with the numbers that we're requesting.
Okay, great. Do any of the committee members have any questions for Mike or Becky? Okay, sounds like everyone's good. Becky, did you want to say a few words about, I know Toast spoke with you that you've been working in cooperation with Public Works on the retaining wall in the parking lot.
So last year we came to you, and I think actually the year before we came to you with a request for rebuilding the retaining wall that's in the front of the library. And it's a very much a known project that we want to have done. But I've been coordinating with Gary Persichetti from DPW, and we've discussed and decided that it makes the most sense to do it when we do the paving for the entire parking lot, because we're going to have to actually dig out behind that retaining wall and take some of it down. And so we don't want to do 2 projects, we want to do them in tandem. And so he's got a lot on his plate for this year. And he's agreed that if anything were to happen with the retaining wall where we needed like minor repairs, that DPW would be willing to come over and do that. But we're okay with waiting and putting it on the back burner till next year's request.
Thank you, Becky and Mike.
You're
There's
welcome.
any questions at all? Okay, looks like everyone's good. Moving along, we'll hear next from the fire department. So with us this evening is our fire chief, Gary Ryan, and our deputy chief, Mike Donahue. Welcome, Gary and Mike. Their projects are numbered 5 and 6 on your detail sheets.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. After a review of our equipment and operational needs, we respectfully ask for your consideration for the following projects. So for fiscal 23, we are seeking funding in the amount of $57,750 to replace our 2008 Ford Explorer. This vehicle is a fire prevention vehicle, has over 94,000 miles, and has exceeded our staff replacement vehicle schedule, which is 10 or 11 years. And we have fallen off our replacement schedule. And as some of you may recall, we were approved back in December of 2019 for our capital vehicle request. And understandably, it was eliminated in the spring of 2020 due to the pandemic budget cuts. So we've kind of fallen off our vehicle list, replacement listing. This vehicle has experienced major mechanical work. It's within the past 2 years, we had to put a new steering rack into it. We've done some body work for the resting, and we put a new transmission within the past year. If we're afforded a new vehicle, by the time we take replacement, this vehicle will be 15 years old. So I kindly ask for your consideration of that request. And I'll take any questions before we move on to the next one. Nope, okay. Also in fiscal 23, you can see we're asking funding for $785,000, $785,122 to replace our 2008 Engine 3. Engine 3 has 81,000 miles on it. It has over 7,000 engine hours. When you calculate engine hours to odometer miles, it will translate to 140,000 odometer miles in use. So Engine 3 will be 15 years old by the time we get replacement of the new engine. That truck will be placed into reserve status, and it will replace the 25-year-old reserve at that point, which we will retire. And I will entertain any questions, myself and Deputy Donahue, if the committee has any questions. All set?
Good. Chief, did you want to say a few words about some of the the equipment needs coming along, although they're not scheduled for fiscal year 23, just for the next?
Oh, going beyond, sure, absolutely. Yes, thank you. Okay. Okay, so so we're in that cycle. I think I mentioned this before to the committee. We try to replace our engines at the 15-year mark, and we're in that cycle. So going forward in fiscal 24, you'll see that I haven't, we're replacing the rescue or seeking funding to replace the rescue. And that's a pretty big price item, $857,373. And that's the heavy duty rescue. And again, that will be 15 years old. The following year, fiscal 25, we're seeking funds for $820,452 to replace engine 5, which will be 15 years old. And then in the following 2 years, we start trying to get back into replacing staff vehicles. In fiscal 26, you'll see that we're replacing a 2016 command staff vehicle. That vehicle is a frontline piece. We replace that at 10 years. We don't, that's a critical piece. We try not going beyond 10 years on that. And the other vehicle on there is a 2009 Crown Vic. That's a former police vehicle. So at that point in 2026, it'll be 17 years old. So I'm not sure we'll be able to keep it that long, but we're certainly going to try. And then the following year, you'll see that we're looking to replace a 2012 Ford 350 and a 2013 Ford Fusion, which was the first hybrid vehicle in the Chelmsford Fire Department. And again, I will, myself and Deputy Donahue are available to answer any questions you may have. I thank you for your consideration of my request. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary and Mike.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that brings us to the Department of Public Works. With us tonight, we have our Deep Public Works Director, Gary Persichetti, and our Assistant Public Works Director, Steve Jeanley. Welcome, Gary and Steve. Their projects are numbered 7, 8, 9, and 10 on the project detail sheets.
Steve, you want to start?
Yep. Thank you, John. Thank you, members of the committee. The first project request is one of the two sort of standard things from DPW. This is for sidewalk construction. The two projects listed on the sidewalk construction sheet would supplement some repaving projects as well, some Chapter 90 road repaving projects. So this is some new sidewalk installation on Old Westford Road. We have a couple of gaps in the sidewalk on Old Westford Road. One gap is from the lower end of Arbutus up to Essex Place, and then the other gap is from Thomas Drive heading towards the Westford Town line. So that's all encompassed in the paving project. So we're hopeful to fill in those gaps in the sidewalk system with that. And the other sidewalk project is Fletcher Street. There's going to be a road repaving project on that. And then this would be reconstruction of the existing sidewalk. It's got some utility cuts. It's not ADA compliant at this point. So we would obviously repave the whole thing and bring all the ramps to current ADA standard. Be happy to answer any questions on that if there are any.
Yeah, on the Old Westford Road, which side of the road, since I live on Old Westford Road in that gap, are you going to put the sidewalk?
Not sure which one. So coming from the lower end of Arbutus, it would stay on the same side that it currently is, which is the Overlook Road side.
Right.
Coming, and we would run that all the way down to Essex Place, where there's the crosswalk, and we just recently repurposed a set of rapid flash over to that crosswalk. And then the upper portion from Thomas Drive up towards the Westford line, again, it would stay on the same side, which is the Roberts Field side of the street.
Thanks.
Sure. I guess if there's no more questions, the Next project is again, the second of the two kind of standard public works items for roadway improvements. This is going to be a few smaller streets in conjunction with some larger projects. Again, I just spoke about the Old Westford Road project. With this, we want to also repave Cliff Road and Rack Road. Both are streets off of Old Westford Road. So we want to supplement the larger project with some capital funding to do these smaller streets. And then the other couple of streets planned with some of this funding is Manning Road and Biltmore Ave over in East Chelmsford. Manning Road is kind of a lead road into the Fairacres neighborhood. And then Biltmore is just kind of a small dead end that is in need of some repaving. And this funding here also allows us to do signage improvements, striping improvements. It runs the crack seal program as well. So it's more than just kind of the road paving type of stuff. We do supplement a lot of other highway activities with this funding. So again, I'd be happy to answer any questions on that if I can. If there aren't any, next is over the next couple of years, the first of two dedicated sander replacements. These are fixed sanders. We always want to have a couple in the fleet that aren't a combo truck, a dump truck with a slide-in sander. We always need a sander, for various occasions. If a trash truck loses a hydraulic line, spills fluid everywhere, we have to roll a sander to make the street safe. And then obviously we run these through the winter. The first replacement for this upcoming fiscal year, the request is to replace a 2005 that I believe is approaching 100,000 miles and is in need of some repairs. So again, we respectfully ask for your consideration of that. The second replacement is about 3 years out to replace a similar type of vehicle. So again, I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Well, a quick question is just a comment. And it could also go to the fire chief as well, but these are all laid out very well. And I guess my only question is, are you guys comfortable with maintaining your existing equipment, in this schedule before you replace the equipment? I mean, are you satisfied that this doesn't run any risks to the town?
So I'll speak for us first. We generally internally down here at Public Works, we talk about our vehicles, 3-4 times a year, kind of adjust because things, conditions change, things happen. And as you'll probably hear next with the facilities pickup truck, a lot of this with the lead time on vehicles, purchasing vehicles. We ordered a Parks truck that through this process, we ordered it in the beginning of July. They haven't even started building it yet. So we have no idea when that truck might even show up. So the lead time on some of this stuff so we're expecting some additional maintenance, but we're comfortable anyway with how we have the schedule laid out.
Okay.
If you don't mind, Dave, I'll just add to that to say that in this lot of this year as well, that was funded with last year's capital. Becky at the library is without a vehicle right now, and the facilities department is without one as well because of the lead times on the vehicles that we're expecting in. Both of those were scheduled to be replaced, which they are going to be with vehicles that we already own, because we usually take them and work them down and make them more of a work vehicle. And because of the fact that we probably still won't see those for another month or around that time, unfortunately, neither one of the trucks have survived. They're both off the road as of today. And that's why we really request that these do not get pushed out, because everyone knows what's going on with COVID and the fact that they can't get chips.
Yeah, and if
I'm
I
on your side. I just want, if we need to do more than what we are doing, then we need to hear it and talk about it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to chime in and say that we've been really fortunate to be the recipient of, recycled vehicles every few years, and they've mostly worked for us. This particular one has been a little bit more of a troubling matter, and we've spent a lot of money over the last, 5 years or so. And it really it's the undercarriage is completely rusted. They had to jury rig a fuel tank for it 2 years ago, and now the straps on it are so like frayed that if they move it in order to repair the fuel pump, they think they won't be able to actually make it work again. The only way they could get it started today was to bang on the fuel tank, and then for some reason that made it go. So so we are definitely going to be doing, we're going to, just for the time being, we'll be using either our pop-up library truck for things that we don't have to fill the truck with a lot of bins, but otherwise we'll have to use personal vehicles and pay mileage. So.
And if I could just jump in too, I echo what everybody's saying. We have supply chain issues. We have vehicles on order. We have no idea when they're going to come in. We recently took out a 2005, a former police Ford Explorer off the road because it wouldn't pass inspection. Wouldn't pass inspection for many reasons, body rot, and also mechanical issues. So we will actually be using it on a JAWS demonstration. But I think the impact to the Chelmsford Fire Department, and I think with some of the other department heads, is we're going to have higher apparatus maintenance costs as a result of trying to maintain what we have. So, thank you.
Okay.
Moving on
Thank
to the
you.
facilities truck. John?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes,
Okay.
please. You.
Okay,
Steve, you
so
want to
the
discuss
next one is number slide 10. That's the 3/4 ton pickup truck for facilities. The truck is a 2006. It has 139,500 miles on it. It requires full suspension in the front, brake work. It's shown some rust, and this truck has been plowing the entire time as well that it's been with us, and it's in dire need of being replaced. We really don't want to continue to put money into it. And that we're asking for $55,000 to replace that with a plow. Any questions?
Okay, not seeing any. Thank you, Gary. It sounds like that truck's definitely seen better days.
Thank
So
you.
that wraps up Public Works. Now we move into if anyone has anything that they'd like to discuss, or if they have questions that we didn't cover, please raise your hand and let me know, and we can. Looks like all members are good. Okay, that brings us to the review and acceptance of minutes. So because this committee meets seasonally, I know these minutes are from several months ago, but our last meeting for the last capital planning season was December 17th, 2020. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review the minutes. Thank you to Vivian for doing a great job preparing these. If everyone has had a chance to review, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I did have one correction.
Okay, Chris.
In the roll call vote towards the end, LaValle is spelled incorrectly.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay. It's correct on all of the other instances.
Okay, we'll fix that. If anyone has any other corrections or. Okay, looks like everyone's good on that. I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented with that correction.
I will make a motion to accept the minutes as presented with that one correction.
Okay, motion by Chris. Do I have a second? Second by Jeff. Okay, all those are in favor of accepting the minutes with that correction, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, looks like we have aye from Chris, Jeff, Jill, and let's see who else. And I believe that's, let's see. I'm just sorry, I'm just checking my screen here. We have for members Chris, Jeff, Jill. I know unfortunately David was not with us at that time, so Do I have an abstain from David?
Right.
Yeah, okay. And have I overlooked anyone here? Let's see. Okay, and I vote to accept. All right, that's good. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 4 yes, 1 abstention. All right, thank you, everyone. And then that brings us pretty much to the end. Our next meeting, we will not meet next week because of Thanksgiving holiday. Next meeting date is December 2nd. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And if there's no further business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move
Make
to
a
adjourn.
motion
Okay,
to adjourn.
by motion by Chris, second by David. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Okay, ayes have it. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Second.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you, everyone.
Have a great
Good
Thanksgiving.
Have a
Thanksgiving.
good, take care.